So here it is right here. It's Skyjacker suspension. It's a steering stabilizer. This particular one is 8055, I believe, steering stabilizer. Now what you get here is you get just the black piston. Your two urethane boots. Now, what I noticed is that there are no sleeves, no metal sleeves on these, but it comes with hardware for both sides, the case side and then the piston side. Or I don't know if that's the piston and the rod. So one for the Blazer is tapered. This goes into the steering bar. This one here goes into the hard mount on the axle. So hopefully those will size up and they'll fit correctly, and we won't have any problems. Seems pretty simple. And for this job, I doused down my bolts already with the WD-40. You're gonna maybe want something like this for your old knees. And even if you're young, use this. It's gonna save you maybe a week of your knees' life. And you're gonna be thankful for that 1 week. I've just got some sizers over here. I've got, there's some torque specs, so we'll see about that. 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, adjustable, little persuasion. We're gonna need that later, I'm sure. New cotter pins. If we end up having any problem with the new hardware and end up needing to use the original hardware, if you can. I'm not sure if you even can. So that's what I got for the job. Let's get at it. Under the truck, what you're going to find is the steering stabilizer right here. It is this piston right here. So you've got a connection right here under the steering rod. And then you've got a connection right here on the axle. That cotter is probably gonna break on you, which is no big deal. What you want to do is you want to get a pointy awl, like a punch, and go from the loop end and grab that cotter pin by the loop end and pull it out. And it probably will break on you one of the legs, or if not both. I broke both mine off, pulled them out. So let's get those bolts out and see from there. You can get an adjustable up in here on top of the mount if you need to, and you can hold that. It's also, I think it's a tad bit smaller than 3/4, but if you need to, there you go. And then you're going to break this free. And then for this one, what you're probably going to want to do, because it's a press fitting. It's a press fitting into the steering bar. So when you remove that cotter pin and you get this backed off, this nut backed off, it's like a crown nut for the cotter pin. So when you get that crown nut backed off all the way, make sure everything's good, put it back on, and you're going to want to leave like a 1/16 of an inch not seated all the way. And then what you're going to want to do, and this is of course after you've taken out the cotter pin again and removed that bolt completely, you know, maybe put on a little lube, put that bolt back on about flush with the head, the nut, I'm sorry, put the nut back on the bolt about flush with the head, and then you're going to want to use your persuader. And it took me about 4 solid smacks, and it pushed that seated bolt. It's like a cone seated bolt on the other end, and it seizes into this after years. So you're going to want a persuader and get that thing off. Then once you get movement out of that, you're going to want to remove your half or your 3/4 inch again. And after you, this side over here is also, it's probably a 3/4 also. So you can actually grab a bite and hold on to that. If you're smacking of the nut on the bolt, makes it less easy to remove the second time. But that's good. It did its job. It's out. It loosened it up. It's out. So it comes out here and it comes out here, and there you go. See, it's tapered and bit into this end like press fit. And there's our hole for the cotter. It looks like these are not reusable. Yeah, these are going to stay with this. So it looks like the new hardware. Yeah, this, I could cross-reference that number. This might even be original. Who knows? Anyway, I've always enjoyed my real easy steering in this Blazer. It's a 1989 Blazer. I've always enjoyed the real easy steering. And people say that if this is out or whatever, like if your alignment, I guess if you've got loose ball joints and shit like that, you're going to get a lot of shimmy between your wheels. So I've heard it called the death wobble. And I think I've read that it happens like terrifyingly horrible on the highway or something. I don't know. I didn't have that problem. Anyway, I was doing the shocks, which should be delivered today. So I was ordering those, and I saw in looking around at those that this was actually leaking oil. So at that point that it's leaking oil, I'm doing all the shocks anyway. So I went ahead and bought it with the same brand. Now I can push this in pretty easily. I don't know if I can push the new one in that easily, but it's not a spring loaded anything. It's just a fluid damper, you know, both in and out. It's just a damper for your steering. So we got it out. Let's go play with the new one, put on that hardware, size it up, make sure everything fits here first, and we'll see. All right, so we're back over here with our pile. I've checked this, and it is correct to fit in the steering bar or whatnot. So that will go on the new one, and this one as well for the post. This fit correct, so we'll use the nice new hardware, which is nice. Torque specifications. Torque specifications. And it says it by bolt size. Bolt size, 1/2 inch. I think this is 1/2 inch. 65 foot-pounds for grade 5 or grade 8. Grade 8 is 90 pounds, 90 foot-pounds for half-inch. And it says that those torque settings are not to be used if the bolt is being installed with a bushing. Okay, guys, I think from yesterday I had a catastrophic failure with my video, and I don't think I got any of the final mounting of this. But anyway, so I just used the nut. There is no washer or anything, and there was no washer with the original nut in the cotter pin either. So I did crank this down to 65 pounds, pound foot, and it felt good. I'm afraid that if I go any more that I'm just going to strip these. I don't know how strong this really is. You know, it's not a real big strength needed area, you know. So I don't think that these are super, super hardened bolts. But anyway, the hardware that came with this Skyjacker Black Max is the correct hardware for this 1989 Chevy Blazer. It bolted right up. And on the other side with the lock washer, and up here with the lock washer, what I did on the top, you can't see it. What I did was, because you've got the bushing, so I mashed it down and I watched that lock washer level out and get smashed down. So it's tight enough to smash the lock washer, and you can see I'm actually putting, you know, I'm rounding out slightly this bushing. So you don't want to explode the bushing. You know, you don't want to have excess pressure. You know, you don't want it floating around there either. So, you know, I figure that it came with the lock ring. That was a good idea to just, you know, mash the lock ring, give it a couple more turns. That's it on both. So the lock ring is there to hold it in place and do its job. This here I spun with the flat areas so somebody can get a wrench on it in the future. This one here did have a lock washer also at the bottom, so it is nut and lock washer against the frame bracket on that axle. So it came together real nice. I drove it after, and it is slightly more firm. And that's really because I'm paying attention, I think. So just slightly more firm. And, you know, like I said, it was leaking either way. Going to be under here doing all this stuff. So went ahead and got it taken care of. And I'm happy I did. So that's that, guys. Easy job.